Welcome to Coffee Connect. I'm Rodney. I'm the host. Today's conversation is going to be centered around finding what your true value is, as well understanding how that is our true competitive advantage when we start talking about all the technology and the advances that are being made, and we all get fearful of AI is coming for our jobs or whatever else. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't use that technology. I think that technology is very useful, but we have to understand that we still have skills and talents deep inside of ourselves, right? That AI will never be able to replicate, right? And we got to find out what they are, right? And how we bring those to the surface in our job search and our businesses, right? And so that we truly connect with those that we are meant to be connecting with. If you enjoyed today's conversation, please do me a favor, email me at ccinfo@addictedtoconnecting.com. I'm happy to get you on the invite list so that you know the upcoming topics as well. You can always go back to the webpage, www.addictedtoconnecting.com, and check out the past episodes as well. See the most featured, the recent featured episodes on the website. So is beyond the algorithm, your personal value and indefinite competitive advantage, right? Discover the value only you can add in an AI driven world, right? This has always been a space, right, where we want to connect people, knowledge, and resources one cup at a time, right? Today's focus is really going to be helping you to understand what your unique human value is in this world of automation, guys. Man, there is definitely tension out there. I'm going to share a quick story with you. Some of you know, many of you know, I've been on the search for home health care and home health support from my mom, who's 91 up in Lorraine. And I was a little taken back, something that's so personal. And for those of you that are in job search, I think you're seeing some of this as well, right? For something that is so personable that you're working to get health care for your elderly parents and stuff. I was contacted by several home health agencies through an AI bot, right? And I think for those of you that are in job search, going through the applicant tracking systems and stuff like that, right? You can definitely relate that. Listen, you're trying to create something that's personal and connections with the company or organizations or whatever else, and yet the companies are taking shortcuts by putting in place things like AI bots and stuff like that. And so I just wanted to kind of share with that because I think it's real. It's also kind of what sparked additional conversations around this whole idea of we all truly have to understand where our value comes into play, right? And so our competitive advantage, right, with AI is not what AI can do, but it's what AI cannot replicate, right? And we have to understand, we have to drive it into our heads, right, that our humanity is the true differentiator that we have that is out there. Uh, and so one of the ways we're going to get through this, right, is the standout assessment. And some of you have already started to take the assessment, which is good. Maybe you've already gotten through it already, which is good. You're going to get your results here. If you haven't already downloaded them, right, you'll be able to get those. For those of you who have not taken the assessment, right, I'm going to give you the QR code here in a second. You can start working on that, right? But the big thing here is standout assessment is going to identify your top two strength roles, right? And the way that you can naturally create that value, right? And Dave shared his with me last night, and I read through, and for sure, like these things are Dave to a T. I took mine, and again, I read mine, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like why do these questions reveal so much about who I am, how I like to operate, and the things that really energize me as a person, right? And an individual out here helping to inspire others and lead others and things like that, right? And so I think it's important that we start on the same page this morning. And so I am going to give about another 10 minutes. We're going to kind of go off screen here. And for anybody who hasn't completed the assessment, feel free to shoot, you can get the QR code or take a picture of the QR code with your phone, and you can do it on your phone. You can also go to this website here, www.tmbc.com /standout assessment. In addition, I'll go ahead and put it back in the chat one more time, but I'm going to stop sharing right there. And then again, we're just going to go off screen for about 10 minutes. Let anybody who has not completed the assessment to complete the assessment. And then we'll come back together and we're going to do some breakout rooms and talk about what our strengths are, what those roles identify, and what are some things that maybe were a surprise to you and stuff along the way. Right. And so,
Rodney,
yes,
can I
sir.
jump in real quick?
Yes.
Um, when you get done with the results, page 3, I think, which has your name highlighted, there's two paragraphs of the greatest strengths you bring to a team. To me, that was the most powerful thing because you can use it in your job search, you can use it with your boss. But the background of this is Marcus Buckingham was a junior person when strength finders were developed. So this highlights another step in the process. And all 9 categories are there. So you can see it highlights in detail your top 2, but it ranks you out. And
It's
just an
on page
FYI,
2.
I keep talking about being an introvert. A connector is my lowest ranked one on that sheet. So I guess I proved a point with that. But this gives you some really good information about how to leverage it, as Rodney said, your strengths in a world where you need more than just facts and being a researcher.
Lamar, you got a question? Go ahead.
I did not take it. Could you please show that thing again?
I just put it back in the chat.
Oh, maybe put it on the screen so I can take a picture.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm sorry. Uh, you want the QR code. Hold on.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. So it's 10:13, guys. We're gonna, like I said, we'll go for about 10 minutes. If you haven't finished this or complete the assessment, please take a few minutes, complete the assessment, grab another cup of coffee, whatever you need to do. And then we're gonna jump right into breakout rooms when we get back here and learn about what those strengths are for each other, okay?
We're back.
Man, like I don't know about you guys, but my assessment is pretty accurate, right? And so I'm curious, who feels like their assessments were probably 75% or more spot on? Right. Okay, so that's a lot of us. That means some of us didn't feel like the assessment was uh, highly accurate, right? Or it was less than 75% at least. And so, who thinks their assessment was less than 50% accurate? So I'm still missing some hands. Does that mean it wasn't accurate at all for some of you, right? You
Well,
can put your hand down, Manu. That's good. So,
you have a gap between 50 and 75, Rodney.
well, yeah, there is, right? Uh, 50 to 75, and so who's in that gap, 50 to 75%? See that? So that means everyone is not accurate at all, or whoever's left is not accurate at all. So what were some things that you heard? This is where we all unmute and we can just share.
I mean, mine says I'm an equalizer and a teacher. Now, last week I was teaching data axle, so there's got to be some. And one of the things that I did in my professional life is I was in PC training, so it's like it kind of seems like that. Uh, that kind of followed through on what I had done in my career.
Wasn't The Equalizer like a movie series and a TV show about some guy that defended people?
I am not Queen Latifah.
Okay.
Or Denzel Washington.
Right.
It was funny because as I was sitting in the room and I was listening to the folks that were in our breakout room, my mind went to, man, if I had all of these people like in my business, how could we utilize their individual strengths and talents, right, to really excel the entire organization? And I think that's an important factor, right? AI may not be able to say how they can best use a collective or collaborative nature of 5 or 6 people and their talents and skills, but I think a person can come out and go, man, Darcy, this is really where you're good at, man. This is where I need you to fit in. This is where your assessment says your skills and talents and stuff lie. And we need to figure out how can we put that to use for us. And so that we quit losing good talent like Pam and Daniel and Steve and these other folks that are with us, right? And we can keep them on board, right? And so figuring out how to use other people's talents is important to us as well. One of the things that came up was in one of the individuals that wasn't accurate. I said, so was it inaccurate in a way that maybe it was telling you that these are the things that you're good at, but you really don't like doing those things? Or was it inaccurate in a way that maybe it brought light to something that you just don't use at all? Right. I mean, there's differences there.
What I
And part
was
of that conversation, go ahead. Somebody's saying.
Yeah, when I was looking at this, so I didn't at first when I read the description, I didn't really. I said 49%, but now when I look at this, the sentence that jumped out at me initially as being wrong. You love dreaming up and sink your teeth into a big challenge. I'm like, when have I ever done that? I don't remember. But then I'm like, what do I do with a big challenge? I try to make it simpler, which is another way to address a big challenge. So I'm like, maybe it's describing something that I never thought of. So I mean,
Thinking your teeth means chewing it up. You'd break it up into smaller pieces. That's
yeah, I guess that counts.
another metaphor.
So I
You
guess
know, how do you
for
eat
me,
the
the
elephant
paragraph
one
really
bite at a time?
yeah, I guess it describes something in a way that I never thought of. So, as I said in the
So,
breakout, I might think differently about this in the morning.
so I also want to say that those people who think that maybe they aren't accurate, that the it isn't accurate, that could be true, but could it be that we're not tapping into the values and the purpose that you're meant to, that will truly fulfill you for who you are, and this assessment is bringing that out.
Another thing that I notice on it is some of the just the titles that it gives. It uses slightly different definitions of those words than what we're used to. For example, creator.
Yeah.
Like I said, it didn't really make sense to me that that was my number three because I'm not a creative, I'm not generally a creative person, but when I look at how it describes what a creator is, it makes a lot more sense. Uh, when you see how it's making that definition. But something else that funny I say this, I use this phrase because it's called standout, but something that stood out to me during the conversation that we had in our breakout session was how a lot of the results seem to be very natural to those of us who were able to talk about them and talk about the work that we do, the careers that we're in. We each found that the top two traits in this assessment really pair well with the career path that we ultimately each chose to go down. So I think that lends some weight to, I'm not sure the effectiveness or the accuracy of this
Yeah,
little set of questions.
Chris, I think you're onto something. And for me personally, so a lot of time leading people, right? The last two gigs, it was 110 people on one team and 46 on the other. And I ended up being a connector and provider. And I think part of that is that, the providers that a lot of the questions were where you were standing up for somebody else, giving them the voice, listening to them, making sure others are heard and that type of thing. So I think from a people leader standpoint, there is some similarities there. I don't know about anybody else, and maybe it's my poor test taking capabilities, but anytime it says could be, should be, maybe, might be, those are like, no, I need concretes. This will be this. Okay, click the button. My head spins and it could be this, but it could be that. So give me an hour, I'll take it over and we'll see if other traits jump out.
And turn off the timer.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, turn the timer off.
You had the ability to turn the timer off?
You can
And
pause, but it removes
the other
That is
problem I
the
had
best
with this particular one is the reason I asked to put it into the email is because I need focus. And with everyone talking in the background, it was
Yeah.
hard for me to focus on the question and answers.
I'll be honest.
I mean,
And there were a
that
couple
is
of
true. And I think in the ideal world, you'd get it out a little bit sooner. But, I understand if it was kind of last minute.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there were a couple of questions where they had like 4 options. It's like I wouldn't do any of these.
We talked about that too, right? We say, hey, there were places in there that you just didn't there weren't options that you would like. Where the downfall was, another side of this when me doing this at the beginning was there's actually a 2-minute video or 2-minute and 52-second video at the front of this that goes through some of the reasoning behind this thing is, but the more important thing is it highlights you may come across a question that you don't like any of the answers, right? Your job is to not find the right or wrong answer. Your job is to find the answer that's closest to what you may do, right? Yeah. And I think we all knew that, but again, I think hearing it for me, because I did listen to it, just highlighted that. Oh, I don't need to find the right answer. And Jeff iterated on his, right? He timed out on one of the questions, right? I did too.
I did too.
So that, I mean,
I timed out on one of the questions because I was listening to Lamar.
There was a question that wasn't factored in that entire thing, right? And so,
did anybody realize there was a pause button where you could have paused it?
no.
That way you
explains a lot about my life.
This has been recorded.
They all said, no, Carla. Rodney said, get the assessment done. We did the assessment.
Another one thing and it's not just this assessment. I've had to do these for work in the past. And though there's one thing that I kind of struggle with sometimes with the way the answers are in some of the questions is there is how I've handled this in the past and how I would want to handle this ideally. And sometimes it can be a little difficult to pick between those two when you know this is like a personality assessment, right? Trying to decide which of those options to take.
So, and like I said, part of this was to align our values, right? I think we talk about this a lot, and sometimes we come into these conversations and we're like, we don't know what our values are. We don't know what our top talents are. And, Dave and I were having this conversation yesterday, and he said, hey, man, there's this assessment. It doesn't take long. This might actually at least provide some insight that we're speaking to these things, right? And more importantly, we need to understand in the end, right? While AI is a great tool, right? It can't do some things, right? As much as it tries to provide empathy in its conversation back to me when I'm talking to it, there's no empathy there, right? I mean, it's just words at that point that it says to edify my idea that I just presented to Copilot or to Chat GPT or whatever. I feel like almost sometimes when I'm talking to those things, it chastises me, right? Making fun of me because I brought up some kind of an idea, right, or whatever. But it doesn't have the empathy. It doesn't have lived experiences. It doesn't have the ability to build trust, right? And these other things. And so we have to understand, where is that, what does that mean for us? Well, that means everything that we're talking about is the competitive advantage that we should be putting out there, right? Our strengths, our style, and our story, right, are really what give us the edge on all of the technology that is out there, right? It's our ability to put these things to use with the technology that will actually maximize the benefit to the entire organization, wherever that organization or whatever that organization does in life, right? AI is not a threat. It is a tool, right? Your value comes from your humanity, right? Your standout roles reveal your edge. Your story is your strategy. I don't know how many other ways to say this, but you are the best asset that is out there, guys. Right? Any questions or comments or any additions here before we roll on? I feel like the hour really slipped right on by us today, but that's okay. Part of that was my only 10-minute assessment. Go ahead, Brian.
My only comment is, you say it's AI is not a threat. You haven't seen some of the sci-fi movies I have.
And recommend some wonderful books too.
I always think of trust, but then verify. you
Yeah.
know, and so
Yeah.
that's what it comes to when you're using the tool. I've had to go back and say, no, you got that wrong. Try again.
Yeah. I know I've said this before, but I saw a quote once about electricity, and it fits for AI as well. It says electricity is a non-moral force. It can illuminate or it can electrocute. It depends on how you use it.
That's the same
And if you
analogy
put if you take electricity out and put AI in its place, it fits.
Yeah.
It depends on how you use it.
It's
You
the
must have
same
read.
with any tool.
You
It's just
must
like
have
a
read my mind.
hammer or
Yep.
even computers themselves when before AI, that's the reality of using a tool. It's
Yep.
the key is how do you make use of that tool?
Mm-hmm.
And a nuclear weapon in the wrong hands could do damage as well.
Oh yeah.
And in the right hands, you could obviously put it to work for you.
Rodney,
create
before
Your
you
reactor could too.
before you wrap up, it might be a good spot. So for those that are in the Cincinnati area, Cincy AI Week is coming up.
Yeah.
There's opportunities to volunteer and get a free ticket for the 3 days. You give them 4 hours and you can spend the entire time down there. Let me find the website real quick and I'll throw it in the chat
Yeah,
on where to go
perfect.
for that. And I'll shut up.
I like it. I like it. Any other announcements or additions?
What I always love when we come to these groups, even of this size, is that you just see the diversity that exists among us, and it just reminds me that, man, the world would be really boring if it was people just like me, because everybody would be talking and nobody would be listening.
Listen, next week, guys, we've got compliments of Professor Dinnan out of UNC. We've got another Learning to Fail workshop next week that he sent me. Another what's it called? The teacher's guide or whatever, right? To Learning Fail workshop. So I got another one of those for next week, June 2nd. We're going to do networking, chaos, speed networking. And the 9th of June, we have Miss Carla Hale coming to us. We're going to finalize some details on what we're going to be presenting and stuff like that. You might have actually given her some information and some fuel to the fire based on today's topic and learning those values and stuff that you got for yourself. So go out there, have a great week, everybody. I want to challenge you guys. We've learned some things today about ourselves, and I hope that you can reflect on what those values actually mean in whatever it is you're looking to do, whether it's your job search, your business, or your job search, your business, or just raising your kids and having a life and enjoying things the way they are, right? Go out there, have a great week, everybody. Remember, I love you guys.
And invite your friends to join us.
Exactly. See y'all.
Have a good week.
Thanks, Rodney.
Thank you.